Thank you very much. I'll start off here. Doge, do you believe that's a good exercise in terms of trying to find out what makes sense in terms of spending and what doesn't?
I think it's an absolutely outstanding effort, Senator, and I think the president's made it clear that's what he wanted to do. Elon Musk's contribution to the effort, it is changing the status quo.
I agree, and let me tell you why. Somebody should have done it a long time ago. What percentage of the budget, federal budget, is entitlements plus interest?
I can't give you the exact percentage. You know, it's when you get the interest added on, which now exceeds the defense budget, we're talking, you know, well over 50% of the federal budget.
I think it's north of 75, but Ron would know that.
Right.
I think it's like 78.
Right.
The way I've always approached this, you're never going to get people to work together to reform entitlements until you first go through the budget and get waste and stupid stuff out. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree, Senator.
Well, that's going on, and I applaud that. The list of things that the president read last night was pretty funny and at the same time obscene, what your money's being spent on, right?
Right.
So I applaud all that. But there are some things in the process of finding out what works and what doesn't, let's don't kill the things that are absolutely necessary. The president wants 5% of GDP on defense. That's what he says. Does that make sense to you?
Well, Senator, if the president says it.
Well, that's what he said. Yeah, I'm not trying to pitch against him. Yeah. I'd like that too. Let's see if we can get there. He wants to balance the budget. I know I do too. So about 25% of the budget is non-entitlements, non-interest, and let's give it a once-over. Defense is in that. Eliminating the Department of Education, fine with me, all that good stuff. But there are 83 girls in Oman that we got out of Afghanistan that we're supporting, that the money runs out in the middle of March. Do you think it's in our interest to make sure they don't have to go back to Afghanistan?
Well, Senator, I think I'd have to know the rest of the details. You made reference to it in your opening comments. I'm not familiar with the story you're talking about. Undoubtedly, when you make change, they're going to see some things that are dislocated, and they may have to be put back.
Well, I want to talk to you about that because that doesn't advance the ball at all. Are you familiar with PEPFAR?
I am.
Do you think it's generally been a good program?
As a general proposition, absolutely. I've heard some news about PEPFAR in the last couple of days and the things from which PEPFAR money is going that were stunning to me, if true. Yeah. So I think even that, every program, 100%. No matter how valuable, ought to be looked at very carefully. 100%.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of PEPFAR, the concept of helping people not pass AIDS on to unborn children and all that good stuff. But it could be looked at too. Mother-child AIDS transmission's gone down by like 70% in the last 20 years. All that's good stuff, but everything should be looked at. So count me in for that, including the Defense Department. I hope the Doge people will give the Defense Department a good once-over. Does that make sense to you?
It does, Senator, very much.
Now, here's the problem I've got. I support what you're doing, but I've talked to Secretary Rubio a bunch about programs that are now very much in limbo or have actually been shut down, then I don't think most Americans would want that to happen. And he's granted waivers. He has a waiver authority. You familiar with that?
I am, Senator.
When he grants a waiver, the money doesn't flow. Do you know what causes that?
I do not, Mr. Chairman. Obviously.
Well, I don't either. I mean, I'm not blaming you. Can we, me and you and Mr. Vogt, get together and try to figure out the only way this works? You're not going to get the American people to do what Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill did, which is save Social Security by making some common sense adjustments, until they have confidence you have really cleaned the underbrush of the government out. In the process of doing that, all things are not the same. Does that make sense to you?
It does.
So if you go too far, you're going to lose trust in terms of actually cleaning up the place. So this is a historic moment. What's happening should have happened a long time ago, and let's get it right to the point that we can. If we have to adjust because we overshot the runway, do it. If you need to go around, let's get this right. I really do believe you and Mr. Vogt are the right to be able to convey to the Congress and to the President what works and what doesn't. Most people don't know about this job you two have. but it's one of the most important jobs in town. Good luck.
Well, thank you, Senator.